What a momentous weekend, Alice. I mean, you are now, Alice, you are married to, you are allowed to be intimate with royalty.
Does this not belong on the food show?
Royalty. Well, this is going to be in the food. This is a way to plug the food show, as a matter of fact. The All You Can Eat podcast. This week I was crowned a.
Crowned with a sticker.
I was crowned, Alice. With a. What was my title? Where's my thing?
It's downstairs on the end table in the family room.
Taco
A
Gigante.
Taco Gigante champion.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. There's a select few of us in this country. I am one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I ate a 1 foot 2 pound humongous taco at Margarita's, and I'm honored to stand on the shoulders, Alice, of those before me, like the great Joseph Chestnut or Kobayashi, and those people who have done what was considered impossible at one time. So I did that. It was delicious. It was the Margaritas and Methuen. Do it. Oh yeah, you win free tacos for a year. Supposedly, I'm waiting for the gears to get going here.
I think they have to confirm it with the restaurant.
Got to confirm that with the Nobel people and the Guinness people to make sure this actually did happen. So there you go. But that's for the food show. I'll tell all the adventure that was at the Everest-like climb that was.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Edmund Hillary, Alice. I am the Edmund Hillary of giant taco eating, right in front of you. Right in front of you.
It's incredible.
Another thing was we just got finished walking. I have my new cool trainers.
Yep.
These are expensive sneakers. Cool new trainers. They're Brooks trainers. They're over $100. Well over. Because I figured, like today, I walked 10 miles. I walk more than most people. And
so true.
I'm going to be doing running too, so I can't have crap anymore. I need good shoes. I need the real
Okay,
shoes.
you deserve
These are
it.
Brooks cool new trainers. Our
12-year-old did say they were cool.
Yeah. And that is high praise because these little bastards of yours have been absolutely skewering me, Alice, using their acerbic humor on me to denigrate me, talk about my balding and my fatness and my uncoolness. Sally let me know the other day that I had huge pores, a-hole. Yes. So we are at a psyops war with my kids. So, but somebody tweeted Alice this weekend this story that I thought was interesting because it's something that it has to do with Alice and I because of our age difference, but it has to do with a lot of people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people's when they're not in an experience, their feelings about what an experience is. So, for instance, this is a Yahoo. Who was it that sent it? You remember? It was like Steve's painter. Steve. It was.
It's
a Minifan.
Pearl Cullinane's ghost.
There you go.
Kirk's caddy.
There you go. Okay. So he sent this Yahoo article and said, "Hey, is this about you, or did you write this, Alice?"
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Do you mind reading it?
Sure. So it's by Brittany Vanderbilt, which could that be her real name? I don't know. My husband is 14 years older than me. Here's what I wish I knew about age gap relationships before we started dating. I hate to say this because we have that exact age gap, but I actually reading her article made me less supportive of her age gap relationship. But
that's interesting.
I'll get to that. My husband is 14 years older than me, and we started dating when I was 20. When I started dating my husband back in 2007, we'd known each other for several years. His brother married my sister, which is how we met. So this is somebody who knew her when she was a teenager.
Right.
So that's part of why I'm like already my red flag.
Well, he didn't close till she was 20. So there you go.
It's still 20 is young to be dating someone in their 30s. So we started dating when I was 23, which I feel like is
Alice,
but I can go out to bars, you know what I mean?
Some girls have lived a lot by the time they're 20.
I know. Our age gap relationship brought its own challenges, though I didn't really anticipate them when we first started dating. Some of my friends weren't supportive of our relationships. There was only one friend from high school who was fairly supportive, but we drifted apart. That may or may not be because of the age gap relationship.
That's exactly, and right.
You do also just drift apart from friends that you knew
Yes,
in high school and college.
and you all do drift apart when you become one of the lame married people. And you and your new husband are going to
Mhm.
like Bed Bath and Beyond on a Friday night when you used to be so fun.
Right. So, and she says, my old friends were still working or partying after I moved away from college. Meanwhile, Andy's friends were in their mid to late 30s with stable jobs or farming careers, and most of them had small children. Since I had no friends in our area, we would sometimes hang out with his friends, but it wasn't fun for me as they'd all known each other for years and were roughly the same age. Plus, we'd chosen not to have kids, so I couldn't and honestly didn't want to relate to their wives' conversations about pregnancy and raising children. They were nice people, but I just felt out of place with that group. We didn't have any shared friends, and that was hard. So that's also never been the case with us,
That's
really.
never been the case, and she also sounds like a little jerky. Like, oh, I reluctantly will hang out with them, but this is not great. It's like, shut up, dude. This is you opted into the world of 14 years older than you. Opt in.
Well, right. I liked you, and I enjoyed
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with your actual friends because
Well, yes.
I was in a similar life space where, like, I wanted to be married and have kids, and I was working, and I felt out of place with college students and hated college students actually because
All right.
like I had nothing in common with them.
Right.
I was not, so I was already, I don't feel that this chick's experience is representative of mine necessarily. Today we found friends we both like and can relate to. He's kept in touch with his friends, and it's more enjoyable to hang out with them now that their kids are much older. And no one's asked me whether I'm his daughter in several years. So at 14 years of marriage and counting, I think we're doing pretty well. So, I mean,
So now she likes hanging out with them, etc. So there's a few things about this, and I think when people see age, that they think that that's something that ever comes up in a relationship, and other than the wow, you're so much younger. Alice and I were pretty much. First of all, we became. She liked me and had a crush on me, Alice. So Alice liked me already.
yeah, you
Or else,
didn't groom me. You weren't
right?
like
And
a
so
weird older
right.
semi-relative by marriage who had known me since I was 16 and decided to
No,
start dating
right.
me the second I
But
was
also,
legal, which is creepy. I'm sorry
yes,
to the
right,
article girl, but that is weird.
right. And so then, and also, I I like I would not have been otherwise hitting on 23-year-old cute blonde girls because it doesn't I didn't rate. I was 37, fat, dumpy, and like whatever. I was a dude.
No, I liked you because I liked your personality.
Right, exactly. So it was but it was what it was. And after like the third day of oh my god, she's still coming back, etc. And just undeniable. We had a fun relationship. We were doing things, checking out history, exploring places, having adventures constantly. So it became
We just liked hanging out together.
yes, and so that was the problem. And so if anything, the age gap to me was an impediment because it doesn't make sense. If 37, a 23-year-old is not a serious person. I mean, certainly it's fun, etc. But that was the idea. But it just kept making sense to be hanging out because it was the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think that and so I never think about it. Like I've never, there's never a time until somebody's brought it up that I've like ever thought about it. We're too busy doing stuff. It was original, like small talking point number 4 when we were new. Like we're so far past. It's not a thing. It's like never.
Right.
But what I think also we have happening is and this is unique to men, is that not only is Alice much younger than 14 years old, years younger, but you're unique because you're better looking than me, and younger and better looking, and this is the other thing, and very intelligent. So you've got this weird skill set, and you could hang with the boys, which is so you got this weird skill set. So what does for our relationship create the challenges is that you've got other dudes who then see that and say, wait, this is way off. She's cool. She's way younger and she's beautiful. And so, you know, that's why, like, me and Alice went to this club when we first started going out, and like guys were hitting on her left and right, and they'd be like condescending to me because I was like big, fat, and older, and they're like, "Oh, like, I'll just get this guy out of the way," and then she's toast. She's obviously easily duped because if she's with this guy, you know. So there's some of that, and also there's like you get that, and people who would not usually be in proximity of Alice because she's in a better league, just both physically and intellectually, etc., felt more at ease to use proximity, like politics. Mm-hmm. Like you've had friends in politics who, to this day, check on you at 2 a.m. on a Facebook post or whatever, who you don't get back to, etc. And I think that they see the difference in us as another reason why that's okay, because probably first of all, it doesn't matter. Why can't
they assume my standards are low?
Well, and they assume like, why does he get to have this? Why can't I have this? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I kept myself in better shape, and I'm doing like she should know. What it's So hey, what's up? And there's been a more of that, and I think that's what like the age difference is not a challenge. The age difference is part of the package of things that leads you to that kind of thing happening. Mm-hmm. And like men who would never, like that guy, the other guy at the convention, whatever. It's anybody who's got an attractive wife knows this is part of the game. It happens. But with me, with the age difference and just the difference, mm-hmm. in like you're more beautiful and all that stuff, and being brilliant, I think some men see that and say, why does this effing jerk get to have this whole package? Like my friend of 40 years who was married, developed a huge crush on Alice. This guy is married, but is a loser. Has no job. Wife is essentially making all the money, whatever. He feels like a loser. Then he looks over here and looks at me and says, "Look what Tom gets to have. More beautiful. She's more intelligent. She could understand the things that I love." And like this guy, my old friend, wanted to have somebody like that too. And talking to him, we would go out and for beers. Talking to him, I would get the sense that this guy, he wants his own version of Alice, whatever. Well, as it turns out, he couldn't find that, but using proximity, he tried to get the actual Alice, which of course just ended 4 ways of relationship, which is, so that couple's gone. And I don't think that had there been such a difference, had you been so beautiful, so much not a pain in the ass as people his age, and such an anomaly, I don't think that would have, and the fact that it's the difference between you're better in a lot of ways than I am. And I think, now that I've won the taco championship, I think that it's much more.
It's all evened out now.
But these are just things, and I can see it other times when you and I have gone out to like convention, like one convention in particular. The way a person will condescend, whatever, and like try to like kind of close in on you a little bit. And now, so what they don't understand, any of these people, but this is a challenge that I've had. What they don't understand, and they've all failed to understand this, and to the detriment. I haven't flamed most of these people who have in the last 14 years pulled this crap. But what they've never understood is that like just because you're brilliant and beautiful and like score better in every category than they score doesn't mean that I'm not smarter than they are. So I can see these,
or that you're not as much of a lowlife to be able to see what's happening.
What exactly? Yes,
takes one to know one a little bit.
These dirtbag maneuvers. It's very interesting. So yeah, I don't get when she says that she saw she couldn't get along with the other people because they talked about marriage and stuff like that. That is something that is a thing. One of the reasons why your friends have fallen off, because we started having babies and doing all.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, there was some of that where, like, like I say, I was not necessarily hanging out with lots of like college students or recent college students anyway, because I just wasn't there in my life. Like, I found it uninteresting, and hanging out in dorm rooms and drinking with people, like, I just thought it was dumb. But I'd had an apartment and a job for years when we met, on my own. Like, I wasn't doing that. So, but like when you ask friends if they want to hang out and they're like, "Oh, I can come by at about 11," and you have like small kids, you're like, yes. I mean, what are we gonna do at 11?
And also, it's like, for us, you were more compatible with my friends, my core group of friends. You were more compatible with them than I was. Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys would talk about Isaac Asimov. That's who's what his name is.
That's a sci-fi writer. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Endlessly deep about books that you'd read and this and that, and you and my brother and the deeds and all this, and it was like there was just similarities there. So there was no. You were one of us, just a much prettier version of one of you. Well, you were one of them, actually. Come to think of it. But so yeah, you never think. Oh, I want another challenge. That I think that you thought when we first got together that I was that blown away by how young you were, and that you were trying to leverage it. And you'd say some stuff like. You just say stuff like that. You knew that I was looking good because I was with you, and when that was kind of unnecessary. Mm-hmm. But I think that you thought that I was really into the dynamic, because most guys were. It's a category in most porn sites, right? Much younger.
I don't know.
I don't. But you remember you came over one time and you had an outfit. Remember in Brighton?
I mean, an outfit.
You had a
It was just clothes. I don't know.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
That's what you called
school uniform.
No, it wasn't that. You called it the "Oops, I Did It Again" outfit.
No, that was when we went out. But you actually dressed up.
I don't know.
In a particular way that I thought you thought would be like exactly what I was looking for. Because, he's old, he's pathetic. I'm young and fresh. And
I probably just got dressed in clothes that I thought were cute.
But yeah, I don't like it's funny thing is that when you have a relationship, and obviously it's guys will think it's better for them, and it is better for when you've got somebody like younger like Alice's, then she's better at tech. She, at least in the beginning, moved quicker and could jump around and knew pop culture. But that's actually, a lot of that stuff isn't necessarily just youth. A lot of that stuff is you're a voracious reader. So you're just always reading things. And that's another reason why I think people get envious and angry at me and say, he doesn't deserve that. I deserve that, including the dude in the roof in Benghazi. I think they look at you and they say, wait a second.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's another one, right?
Yeah.
It was Tonto was a fan of Alice, and that's no problem because I know that she's beautiful, etc. But I also think that it's just part of this thing where
Tommy in New Hampshire says he's searching Pornhub for old Taco King with young SAT Queen.
That's great.
Sure, that's a popular category.
Yeah.
Taco Gigante champion. Well-known category.
But yeah, so no, that's what I think it is. Like, I think that when you start.
But yeah, you also had a friend comment one time like, "Oh, I wish I had a radio show or whatever, something."
Right. They said, "I wish I had a radio show." Like, you get a free one of these when you get a radio show, and it doesn't work like the simple truth is that we were compatible because
I'm just a weirdo who liked you.
right, and we like doing stuff, and
Yeah.
I like doing stuff, and unlike anybody else who would pull me down from or be lame and back me off from having fun and doing things, and I do all these adventures and say like I've had girlfriends who like would absolutely, if it got below 53 degrees, would no longer go outside and they'd be in I'm freezing in the house period, and they wouldn't go. But me and Alice were climbing mountains, doing stuff, and hiking, and going out in the town. We were doing everything all the time, and so like it was. I found somebody who wanted to do all the stuff that I wanted to do all the time, and had a whole bunch of other stuff. And I also happened to be a radio producer at the time, trying to get into show business, and she understood that. She was super supportive with that. She was super helpful with that. And so, like, I won the lottery in 1,000 ways. So we could consider our voyage together. That's that's our age. Our age is the Tom Alice age is 13,
Right.
and that's it. I mean, obviously, I come with the history of all the stuff before that, and so does Alice. But I don't think that we've ever been at a table or anything. Well, unless you've been absolutely smashed, which has happened, where anybody's ever said, "Well, I mean, she's young; she doesn't really get this." Nobody's ever said that because you pretty much get stuff.
Mhm.
That's just not your thing. So that's where I am with that. I think it's a fascinating question. And the reason, and it's fascinating for me because we never think about it. Never.
Yeah, no, we never think about the age gap thing. I do think that it plays into some relationships, though. Like that one in the article does not sound that healthy. Or maybe it's fine now, but it doesn't sound like it initially came from
No,
that
and I
healthy a
guarantee
place.
you that like his other friends and stuff could tell that she wasn't enjoying herself.
Yeah.
And that's terrible. And and that's another thing that you've.
Well, maybe they had really great chemistry together in bed or whatever. I don't know what led to it, but
Maybe
something.
Well,
but I also think, I mean, and that's so. And you, when we were talking about this earlier, when you said you wanted to talk about this article, you brought up Taylor Swift and how she references in some of her songs, some of her boyfriends were too old for her,
Yes.
basically. Like in Dear John, she says, "Don't you think I was too young to be messed with?" And I mean, she was obviously over 18. Or like in All Too Well, she makes a few, which is about Jake Gyllenhaal. She says, so Dear John is about John Mayer. And All Too Well, which is about Jake Gyllenhaal, she says like she says that like one of the things that he said to her was that maybe if I were older things would have been different, and that made me want to die, and that like essentially saying that he said that she couldn't hang with his friends cuz she was too young and like didn't get it.
Mhm.
And and yeah, I mean, I think there's relationships where it doesn't work because of that. I do think that it can be. I do think that it can mess up relationships if people aren't on the same page enough.
Absolutely, I could certainly see that. And if she's,
And also, some guys are just really into dating really young chicks,
well, right, and
like
but
Leonardo DiCaprio or Jake Gyllenhaal or who's another one?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean necessarily. But they're also like models are a different animal too, and also a lot of those. It matters. Immature is different than young. Like
Right.
I knew a woman who was obsessed with the color pink in kitties, and from her 20s into her 30s, and she's probably 40 now, and she's still immature. And so I have no I have no time for like any of that. Some people are mature, some people are not. If Taylor Swift is talking about pink and kitties, no wonder Gyllenhaal's probably like, oh God, I don't do this stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. But I mean, this removing agency from yourself. I was too young. You should have been nice. First of all, these are entertainers. These people are psychotics. They're all children. If you decide that you need to get into something because you need the world to love me, everybody, love me. That's weird. Okay, these people are weird people. Okay, a lot of them have been very popular for a long time. A lot of them never learned how to be humans. I don't buy this thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of celebrities are messed up.
Well,
just
right.
in general.
And by the way, if she were dating a 21 or a 19-year-old when she were 19, they would have heard her just in a different way. There's a chance that the 34-year-old would be more humane to her. So I don't know. But she needs to say this, I guess, because Taylor Swift has made $6 billion off of being dumped, or heartbroken. So, by the way, I got a very crude message from a friend who is a listener, watcher, and friend,
Mm-hmm.
asking if he thinks Taylor Swift has slept with Travis Kelce. To which I say, I cannot believe, friend. I know you're
I bet
watching.
they've slept together.
Friend, this is a guy he's a
An
little younger
NFL
than us,
player.
but our friend Alice. How would I describe him? How would you describe him? I'd say he's spent time in Mario Puzo's home before. Does that ring a bell? He replaced Mike G.
Mm-hmm. I know what friend it is.
Okay. Really? You're a man.
I think they've slept together, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't
man
think
should ever be asking. Of course she's having sex with him. Of course he slept out at her house overnight. How old is she?
She's 2 years younger than me, I think.
Once
so
you're
I
out
think
of
she's
the,
like
the realm of
34.
like early 20s and you're working adults, you're always sleeping together. There's no like we're
Well, not everybody, but I
partitioning
think
this
most
into bases anymore.
secular,
Those days are over.
I think most secular people, that's true, yeah. But I don't think necessarily first date.
Did we ever talk about our first date and when you had
No,
to be?
we're not
Okay.
going to talk about our first date.
Alice, I'm just saying, okay. Forget it. Okay. When we go out, guys, face to face, I'll tell you about it. It's fantastic.
No.
Alice has had some great lines in her life. This is one of my favorite. This is what, as a gentleman on a first date with a young lady, you would say is rather good news. Okay. Should we get to some
Actual news?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I want to first play a little bit of this Sam Harris on the Israel thing. And then Bill Maher was fantastic. But here's Sam Harris. If you guys don't know,
Okay.
Sam Harris has been broken by Donald Trump, but he is a good thinker, and he's great on Israel.
As we watch the initial expressions of support for Israel begin to decay as it wages war in Gaza and perhaps beyond. As many of you know, I've spent years talking about the clash, as I see it, between Western civilization and Islam. Specifically, I've spoken and written about the connection between the actual doctrines of Islam and jihadist violence. Of course, this violence has fallen out of the news in recent years, especially since the collapse of the Islamic State. Even I've stopped thinking much about it. But I've been under no illusion that the problem has gone away. Now, those of you who have been following my work for 20 years know that I've said everything I have to say on this topic, ad nauseum. And I'm sure I'll just periodically repeat myself for the rest of my life, because eruptions of jihadist violence and the attendant secular moral confusion about it will be with us for generations. However, I don't want to rehash any of my criticism of Islam here. I'll just briefly remind you of what I believe, which is that there is no possibility of living in peace with jihadists. So whether we want to admit it or not, we are perpetually at war with them. And we must win a wider war of ideas with everyone both within the Muslim world and outside it who is confused about that. And there are legions of the confused. And there's no place on earth where the truth about jihadism is more obvious or excruciating, and the moral confusion about it more reprehensible than Israel today. But leaving all of that to one side, for the moment I'd like to make a very simple point that really shouldn't be at all controversial, because it doesn't prejudge any of the questions that people might disagree about. You don't have to agree with me about Islam, or about the role that it plays in inspiring conflict. The point I'm making now says nothing about the causes of the recent violence in Israel. And yet it cuts through all the arguments and pseudo-arguments that attempt to paint some moral equivalence between Israel and its enemies, or to justify the actions of Hamas as though they were a response to Israeli provocations, to the growth of settlements, or the daily humiliation of living under occupation. Incidentally, there was no occupation in Gaza. There hasn't been an occupation there since 2005, when Israel withdrew from the territory unilaterally, forcibly removing 9,000 of its own citizens, and literally digging up Jewish graves. The Israelis have been out of Gaza for nearly 20 years, and yet they have been attacked from Gaza ever since.
So I'm not going to steal his entire rant there, but it is great, and I'll tweet it out there. And it's very clear thinking. There is no he is right. They are at war. So all these people, saying ceasefire, there's no ceasefire on the other side.
Right. They still want to kill you. So, like, you can ceasefire with them all day, but they're just still going to kill you the next chance they get. That's the problem with the terrorism thing, and it is very unfortunate. There are innocent people dying. We talked a lot about, they put out all this propaganda with the hospital stuff, but there are people dying that are innocent. There was an Israeli strike that hit some kind of target that was near enough to, like, really an extremely old church, an Orthodox church, St. Porphyrios Church in Gaza, where a bunch of people were sheltering, and like 18 people died, and including some of them children, including some relatives of Justin Amash, who used to be a congressman or whatever he was, and who's Palestinian by descent, Christian Palestinian. Did I say that right? I'm tired. But there's Christians there, there's children there, there's innocent people there who aren't terrorists. There's who are going to die, and that's a reality of war. Like, there were innocent Germans who died too, who didn't like Nazis, right? Like, that's what happens in wars. And when Hamas is the elected government of Gaza, this isn't like a one-off of a few bad apples in Gaza who did this stuff.
Yes, and I've actually seen different conclusions about how popular they are.
Yeah, and that might be true. They might be more or less popular. I don't know what the accuracy of opinion polling is in the Gaza Strip, to be honest with you. I think that's a tough one. But I'm sure there are people there that don't agree with what happened and are dying in the Gaza Strip. But it doesn't mean Israel's not justified with violence, pushing for surrender and the return of hostages, for concessions from Hamas, which runs the Gaza Strip and could end this at any time.
Yes.
By, giving back the 200 plus hostages they're holding, who are all innocent people, and making concessions like handing over terrorists and disarming and doing stuff that they could do in order to stop this from happening to their own people who they also do not care about. It's very sad. It's terrible. And war is terrible for everybody. But, was it Coleman Hughes who was on someone's show and said, like, sometimes, there's just actually good guys and bad guys here? Like, I mean, like, sometimes there's a good side and a bad side. And, like, the side that is pro-torture. And I don't understand the left, like, twisting themselves into knots on here. There's people been all over Twitter this weekend, like, arguing about the definition of beheading because, like, a bunch of babies were found without heads, but they weren't necessarily beheaded. Their heads might have been blown off by RPGs. Like, if that's this place you're in, where you're on Twitter and you're arguing about how the babies ended up without heads to decide if it's really a real beheading or not, like, you're not on the right side. Like, I don't know what possible indicator you would need to know that that's, like, not the right side of this issue. And we should talk about Chappelle too. A few people bringing up Chappelle in the chat. I mean,
I wish there was video. You haven't seen it.
Well, I think they were pretty strict with the cell phone policy at the event because he's been burned too, obviously, by some of the stuff, and he likes to say what he likes to say, and we've defended him on this show before, obviously, too.
Yeah, and I am not surprised that this is his stance.
No, I mean, first of all, he's Muslim. He's converted to Islam.
Oh, wow, okay. I didn't know that.
I think he is. I think that's true. Somebody said it in one of the things, and we can look up and double check. But he's also, even with some of the stuff that he was saying about, like, Trump and the elites and that stuff, he's made allusions before to, like, the group in Hollywood that you really can't criticize and stuff. Like, he's made some comments like that lead one to believe he leans a little bit in that direction about Jewish people in particular.
Yes.
Which is not, by the way, that uncommon in the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, you have groups like the Black Hebrew Israelites and stuff, and, like, there's different strains of thought, but there's groups in the Black community that are not fans of Jewish people.
Yeah, well, and also I just think if you're a progressive, then if it's a binary of the oppressor and the oppressed, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and so anyway, so there were a few posts about this. A few people posted like notes app things or whatever texts from somebody posted. I saw Dave Chappelle last night at Boston TD Garden. It was sold out, so I would say 22,000 people were there. 3/4 into the show, he said, I want to address what's going on in Palestine and Israel. He specifically said Palestine and said it before Israel. He said what happened on October 7th wasn't right, but also what's going on isn't right and not just. You can't just kill innocent civilians like that and the whole world sits silently and watches. And then someone shouted at him from the crowd, shut the F up, Dave. He then went nuts and yelled back, no, you shut the F up. You don't take tens of billions of dollars from my country to go kill innocent women and children and come and tell me to shut the F up. He said, don't come begging from my country and then go drop bombs on children and cut off innocent people, water and electricity. You have the audacity to pay to come and see my show and then tell me to shut the F up. No, you shut the F up. The crowd started clapping and cheering and saying, yes, Dave, and chants of free Palestine. And he said, you're damn right, free Palestine.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and then there was another post that someone posted. They said, towards the end of his act, Chappelle mentioned the war in Israel and how he as a Muslim denounces Israel for its treatment of the people in Gaza and started to add in lots of false and unsubstantiated claims. A gentleman towards the front yelled, you should shut the F up. Chappelle lost it on the man yelling, you do not tell me to shut the F up at my show. He started a tirade of his beliefs, leaving comedy behind and focusing purely on the politics. While that was awful in itself, what made my heart sink and started to invoke fear was when the crowd of about 20,000 people started yelling, go Palestine, go Hamas, and other related hateful jargon. The audience was cheering Chappelle during his tirade. I was sick. We were sick. I turned to my friend and wife and said, I think it's time to go. We walked out and met up with many other Jews leaving the show. Never in my life have I felt so unsafe and so fearful in what I was witnessing.
Yeah.
The words alone were horrific, but we were vulnerable in a public forum. How could we know what would happen? Could violence against the Jewish members of the audience break out? Here in Boston, how is there so much hate for Jews? How could a comedy show provide such a mechanism for people to verbally shout out their hatred for Jews? The unfortunate icing on the cake was that all the cell phones and communication devices had been locked up, so there's no video or audio evidence. With that, I'm hoping social media can spread this word.
Yeah, and we'll get into more of that stuff in a bit in the Patreon. Like people walking around ripping down posters, including in where was it? Chestnut Hill, of
like a
hostages.
dentist doing it.
It's freaking amazing. It's amazing.
Oh, and the Michigan State thing, that was weird too. We were talking about that last night because it was college football day yesterday, which normally you and I pay zero attention to college football at all. Mm-hmm. Saturday's not a day when it would ever occur to me that there would be a football game on. But anyway, so at Michigan State, I guess they had a trivia question. Like they put up a trivia question on the big screen for everybody in between the things. And it was, what country was Hitler born in?
Yes.
And with a big picture of Hitler. So like right up in the middle of the stands of the stadium, there's like a big picture of Hitler.
We're in a twisted place here.
And it's a very weird. Strange
in the Patreon, I'm gonna further the conversation into somewhere where I want to know if you and I are just as bad as these people doing this, because I just thought myself through an adventure in thought that I want to run by you a little bit later. But why don't I get to this Bill Maher too? This is Bill Maher's shining moment.
And finally, new rule as an Ivy League graduate who knows the value of a liberal education, I have one piece of advice for the youth of America. Don't go to college. And if you absolutely have to go, don't go to an elite college, because as recent events have shown, it just makes you stupid. There are few, if any, positives to come out of what happened in Israel, but one of them is opening America's eyes to how higher education has become indoctrination into a stew of bad ideas, among them the simplistic notion that the world is a binary place where everyone is either an oppressor or oppressed. In the case of Israel, oppressors being babies and bubbas. The same students who will tell you that words are violence and silence is violence were very supportive when Hamas terrorists went on a rape and murder rampage worthy of the Vikings. They knew where to point the fingers at the murdered, and then it was off to ethics class. Now, I recognize that a certain amount of foolishness is expected of college kids, but mixing Jägermeister and tomato juice isn't the same as siding with terrorists. 34 student groups at Harvard signed a letter that said the apartheid regime is the only one to blame, proving they don't know what constitutes apartheid. They don't know much of anything, actually. But it doesn't deter them from having an opinion. They've convinced themselves Israel is the most repressive regime in history because they have no knowledge of history or even a desire to know it. And actual history doesn't come up in their intersectionality of politics and genderqueer identities class. Now, to be fair, at least 5 of the student groups have rescinded what they signed, saying they didn't read the letter closely. And they promised not to make that mistake again after they graduate and start running the world.
I can stop it there.
But
We'll give him one more hit. Because it's really 5 minutes of it.
I actually believe them that they didn't read the letter closely. I think they scanned it, said it was blaming Israel, and went back to surfing TikTok. Because college life today is a day spa combined with a North Korean re-education camp. It's a daycare center with a meal plan, except the toddlers can fire the adults. The fact that college presidents, who usually love to speak out about anything, couldn't find their voice to condemn the worst attacks since the Holocaust says a lot about who really controls colleges.
So it's a great rant. There's more of it, but we'll let you listen to it. It's all over the place. But he's absolutely right. These colleges are poison, absolute poison. I put them on no pedestal whatsoever. Unless like my daughter probably might want to get into some kind of engineering thing, whatever. That's fine. Other than that, my default is, and I think you agree with me, is to a 4-year liberal arts college. The default is no. If you have something you want to do in community college,
if you have like a STEM thing that you're into that that you're actually good at, then great. But otherwise,
no
chat today.
Oh, does that come before this?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry.
The chat, of course, is brought to us on the Chelsea Fire Wicked Hotline by Chelsea Fire Wicked Hot Sauce, which is a delicious hot sauce, or you don't have to sacrifice heat for flavor. And they donate part of the proceeds to the Fallen Firefighters Foundation. Are you there yet, or do you need me
I'm there.
Okay.
It's just buffering.
I just wasn't sure if I needed to talk more about the
You don't
hot
need
sauce.
to talk more. It should be moving at any time now. This thing is turning. By the way, I'll be using this
the new computer
full-time starting tomorrow.
with your Taco Gigante sticker on it.
Yes, it'll have a sticker. My son has put Star Wars stickers on it, and then this morning asked me if it's okay if he put Star Wars stickers on it after he already did. This is not working.
I'm sorry, did you try refreshing the page?
I'm going to try refreshing the page. All right.
What internet are you connected to? Is it a good internet?
It is... Yes, it is the right one.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hi, Habibis and
Hi,
fellow
Leslie.
colonizers. It's your old friend Les calling into the Chelsea Fire Wicked Hotline. You know why
I miss her voice, Alice. I miss her voice.
I know.
First of all, extending my love and prayers for my sister in Christ, Alice, for the impending birth of Shattuck baby number 5.
Please
the
pray that
best
this baby
health
is
and the
born
best
soon,
success in
please.
that birth. Second of all, I
Can't
want to
believe I'm
thank
still pregnant right now.
I know. It's ridiculous. Come on.
Can we go, please?
Am I going to work
It's
tomorrow
So
now?
uncomfortable.
Tom for how he expressed his absolute confusion as a person close to my age, as a person growing up almost identically to my cultural life in the United States. And all of a sudden we woke up one day and there's a zillion people who are not only feeling it in their heads and hearts, but literally marching, thousands and thousands of people marching to destroy the Jews. I never saw this coming.
Yeah.
I did not see this coming, and neither did Tom. And Tom, I truly appreciate you articulating this for me because I've been having a hard time with it in my own head. Am I crazy? No, no, my peers see that as well.
Yeah.
I believe we're in for a long road to try to deprogram these young children. I sent to the show the video of some excuse me, some endodontist, professional dentist tearing down some of
Yes.
the flyers of the hostages in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, where I literally drove through yesterday. I kind of wish I saw her, but I'm kind of happy I didn't because I
Yeah,
don't know.
actually, pause for a sec because there was actually polling about this. She's not wrong that part of it is an age thing because there was polling that was broken down asking people, do you think the Hamas killing of 1,200, it's really now there, it's over 1,400 is the death count,
Yes.
Israeli civilians in Israel can be justified by the grievances of the Palestinians, or is it not justified? I'll go from the top. 65 and over, only 9% say it can be justified. 55 to 64, 11% say it can be justified. 45 to 54, 23% of people say it can be justified. So that's like your generation.
That's still
1 in
freaking scary.
4 people think terrorism
1 in
is
5.
23 is close to 20, a quarter, yeah. In the 35 to 44, so that's my generation, 39% of people think it can be justified. 25 to 34, 48% think it can be justified. And in the 18 to 24, 51% think that the murders of 1,200 Israeli civilians can be justified by the grievances of the Palestinians.
That is a freaking
So there
problem.
is an age gap problem.
I don't know what I would have done in that moment, but we are in tough times, and God keep us strong. And hopefully I'll talk to y'all again soon.
Thank you,
Love
lovely.
you, bye.
Nice to talk to you again. BBP?
Burn Barrel Podcast?
A1C.
I believe that's a diabetes thing.
Yes, I will be putting shields up.
To the A1C.
Oh, it's from Deanna Della Chappas. That's from
Winchester High School class
That's
of
right.
1991.
From the what was it called? Guardian.
Jardians.
Jardian. That's right. That's right.
Jardians.
When it comes to the comments from the squad and the New York Times articles, it's that whole journalistic phrase that, Tom, I'm sure you've heard before. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, absolutely. Especially in anything you can put on Israel now has them salivating. So they're all hugely into this. Dr. Cheswick, Alice.
Mm-hmm.
As for that woman who slept with over 300 men in a year,
Mm-hmm.
Tom, even when I was 24, I wouldn't have gone for that at all. You don't remember the AIDS epidemic?
I do remember that. Yes, I still would have.
For the love of God, it was on television every day.
I remember.
Magic Johnson. Why? I wouldn't have sex with her with your dick. Come on.
Might be the first
What
time
a
for that one.
repugnant skank.
Hey!
That's just, it's not empowering. That's disgusting.
It's gross.
What do you mean skank? What is it? Body count shouldn't matter, Alice. She has agency over herself. She's having a good time. Come on.
And Biden, what's with the chin balls, man?
I know.
Yeah, it's not good.
See the chin balls on that dude?
His face is melting.
He's a chin ballsian.
Chin balls.
I want to welcome Virgil Thaddeus Shattuck
I like that.
to the world.
Too early.
I'm
I like
guessing
Virgil.
that
I am making a last-minute Jim Jordan-like push for Peter Rabbit Shattuck.
The 5-year-old makes a strong case for Peter Robinson.
I know, but I like Peter Rabbit Shattuck. Why not? Why not?
You can call him Rabbit.
No, I have the piece of paper in my hand. While you're all drugged out, I will be writing down Peter Rabbit Shattuck.
Alice had given birth to him. It's a healthy little baby. I can't wait to hear him come running in during the podcast and scream at the top of his lungs. That'll be great. And yeah, your perineum is your taint. And if you've ever had to deal with prostate cancer, your perineum is very important.
What is this?
Because it is the,
Okay.
how should we say, access point
Tom would very much prefer to just die of prostate cancer than know anything about that.
Correct. Thank you.
Guys, it has to be Naked Sushi because that girl already talked about the amount of money that she makes serving California rolls. I mean, who would serve sushi and say that they're financially doing well unless it's Naked Sushi? So she's definitely doing that because
I don't think so.
The more of a chance a guy has to see her sushi, the more money she's gonna make. Come on.
I don't think so.
I just can't imagine that you make
Alice,
that
you're
much
bringing out all the
just...
sexism in the show.
Sorry.
No, I don't think so. I think she was bitching and moaning so much. I think she would have mentioned the Naked Sushi and like these pigs already.
Speaking of the baby name thing, very successful series of novels by John Updike about somebody named Rabbit. So
there we go.
You can just still call the baby Rabbit as a nickname. I did know that. That's why I meant.
That's why I'm doing it, Alice. It's a literary reference.
Oh, I didn't know you were a big Updike fan.
Yes, I am, Alice.
Oh.
I like everybody on the LGBTQ plus IA, as a matter of fact. Oh, sorry.
I thought the squad, according to Jerry Callahan, was 4 people. Talib, Omar, AOC, and the person he loves to call Ringo, Ayanna Presley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Jamal Bowman joined.
Yeah, and Corey Bush is one too, and so the squad. Those are the original 4, but they have expanded. But those are the ones who originally came right out of the box.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We appreciate it. We are gonna head over to the Patreon show, so if you're a Patreon subscriber, stay there because we have more to talk about. I assume Tom will tell us what his favorite Updike novels are.
Oh, I love them all. Old Man in the Sea. Clean, well-lettered place. From Here to Eternity. Was that one of his? For Whom the Bell Tolls?
Yeah, that's one, sure.
Thank you.
So is Romeo and Juliet and King Lear.